Happy Friday, everyone. Today's the first triple witching day of the year. It happens every 3 months. So we got March, we got June, September, and then December. And the market is near some pretty interesting spots. And I want to take a look at the charts and talk about where we find ourselves following the Fed meeting after the market had a little bit of time to digest what exactly is going on and what we have to look forward to in terms of the next catalysts over the next couple weeks to couple of months, actually. So I'm going to bring that charts up here for you. And as I talk about them, I'll provide some of that commentary. By the way, with all this weirdness in the market, I got to tell you, over at the Discord, we are absolutely killing it right now. TMF option, I closed out the day that I opened it, 54% on that one. AMD took a weekend, but 44% on that one. Another TMF, I believe, around 11%. And then also that was 15%. And then 11% was on BITO, which is a Bitcoin ETF. Now, mind you, those are just some of my wins that I've had recently. You can find even more of those along with other trades over at the Discord. That link is available down in the description, so make sure that you click on that. Sign up using the code word CASH. It's going to save you 50% off the first month. You'll join thousands of members over there. We got quite a few traders at this point in time that share their trades. You can look and see what they're buying, what they're selling, how they're doing with it. I'm one of the panel experts over there. We also got StockMo over there as well. And live trades also coming out around 2 p.m. every day as well with StockMo, along with the bread bot, along with AI tools, and along with advanced charting tools as well. So guys, I'm going to get into the charts like I said, but you should absolutely check out that link in the description. Let's move on. So popping up the charts for you here. Let's backtrack to SPY for a moment, because look at these wicks that we have as we get near the 200 day and that blue 20 day coming down this way. So this is selling pressure they get every time that we come up here. And you can see that in the pre-market, we're just a little bit nervous. So we closed yesterday at about 565. Now we're down at about 562. Now pre-market, low trading volume, all that kind of stuff. But I got to tell you, that today could be that day that we start to see some money move and start to set up for the end of this quarter into the next quarter to start to look for performance for where exactly things are going. So you're going to buy into things that are expensive, or you're going to let go of the expensive things and then buy into some of the cheaper things that are out there. So for the S&P 500, we do have that little bit of nervousness. And if we go to the weekly chart, what does that look like? Well, for weekly chart right now, we closed yesterday at 565.49, while this 50 week is at 565.01. So we are just above that. You can see the battle being fought this week and how narrow it is compared to the other candles that came before it. Now, yeah, we got some buying pressure from last week. We really need to see that push up above the 50 week even further, back up above that 200 day that I was showing you in the past. So when we look over here, this is the weekly chart that we're looking at for the Qs, tracking the Nasdaq 100. So QQQ. And for this one, off this lower trend line, look at the indecision that we have on the weekly chart here. We're down below the 50 week. And so we see this narrow bodied candle, something like this one, when you have those long top and bottom wicks in that narrow body, the next candle could show you where exactly things could possibly head. So we'll see where this week closes. If it still has the same look as Friday closed, if we close about where we're at right now as of yesterday's closing day into next week, getting up above that 50 week is going to be absolutely huge for us. Getting up above this trend line resistance is also going to be huge for us as well. If we're going to see further bullishness, we want to see a big old green candle coming up through there. We have PCE along with personal income and outlays next week on Friday, as well as the final estimate of the final numbers for GDP for Q4. We got to wait an entire month to see what the numbers look like for GDP for Q1 and the advanced estimate. I believe April 30th is that date. Now, keep in mind, GDP is one of the things that's absolutely rattling the market right now, as Atlanta Fed GDP now says that, well, it was looking like negative for Q1. Well, PCE for March, or I should say for February, what we see in March is going to do a lot to kind of either help us or hurt us or keep us about where we're at right now. So Friday of next week is an absolutely enormous catalyst, especially because the last Friday, the last trading day that we get in March. Actually, I think we have March 31st yet. So we have the Monday. There you go. So Friday's closed on March the 28th. That is the second to last trading day that we get in March. That Monday that follows is the ultimate last trading day that we get. And then we're back into labor reports. So we have to watch for those. We also then get inflation and then consumer confidence. So we have 3 big weeks coming up. And I think the market's going to make a lot of moves during that time. We got to watch the moving averages to see where they go. All right, so back up here. So moving averages, 50 week get back on top of that, please. The sooner we get back on top of that, the sooner we can get into better bullish territory. If we go back to the daily chart for the Qs, you can see we haven't gotten as close to the 200-day, and we actually have the 20 crossing down over the 200, a bit of a death cross for us to see a faster moving average crossing over a slower moving average. We already had that with the 20 and the 50. Now we're getting 20 over 200. And if it's expected that 50 is going to cross down over the 200, that can be even more pain coming to us. So we would be watchful for this and would be prepared for this. And we're getting a little bit, you can see across the tops here. I can see it, maybe you can too, a little bit of trend line where we're kind of slanting down this way a little bit while this side is coming up. So the bulls pushing up the bottom, the bears pushing down the top. And so it's looking like the Qs are going to break one way or another sometime soon. Maybe it's looking a little bit like a bear pennant as well. I don't want to sound overly bearish because I don't like to be bearish about these things, but I will say if the market's going to be worried and if I think the move is going to be downward, I'm going to trade that way, and then that's how I'm going to show my profits even in a down market. So mind you, over at the Discord, other people do a lot like I do, and so you'll find them doing the same things. If you guys want to see what that's all about, come on over and join us. So that's the Qs. Over to IWM. Where do we find ourselves with IWM? I got a few other technicals on here. This 20-day, let me hide those things for a moment because this blue 20-day, look at the resistance that we're getting, the rejection. We've gotten two of them so far on the daily charts. This is the 20-day, the 50 crossing over the 200 as of, it looks like yesterday, where we're getting that death cross moment being down below 50, down below 200, down below 20. So certainly in a bearish moment. Now, mind you, we do have a little bit of momentum coming off of the oversold status here. Maybe that could be a good thing, but one of the first signs that we're going to be looking for are those moving averages. And if we go more near term with those moving averages and put up the EMAs, green is 5 days, yellow is 13 days, and then red is 50 days. What do we see there? Well, what we see so far is that we're failing to close up above the 13-day. We closed up above it yesterday, or in Wednesday's trading. Thursday, however, back down beneath it. So that high wick, some selling pressure coming in, and we need to sit on top of that 13-day. If we're going to see the 5 cross the 13, faster over top is slower, crossing up above is a bullish thing. Momentum, still bearish. We have the 5 coming up towards the 13. We're sort of kind of riding on top of it, and that, once again, is a bullish sign to ride on top of the moving averages versus dangling off of them. When you dangle off of them, that's a bearish thing. So if we can get on top of the 13 and start riding both those moving averages, then we have a little bit more believability that the recovery that we're seeing for IWM, the Russell 2000 stocks, is actually a real one. So just a remark on TMF here. You can see the consolidation, and there's even a bit of an inverse head and shoulders. You can see left shoulder, you can see head on that, and you can see right shoulder. TLT, it's even more pronounced when you look at that one. I think that we could potentially break up to the upside on this if we break to the top side on that. If we're able to push that way, that could be very bullish for us. And we do then have to watch out for the 200-day that's up above that as well. So 200-day, watching for that golden cross. Still haven't gotten that moment. Still rejecting off this trend line, but potentially even a neckline for us if the inverse head and shoulders is confirmed, which can be a bullish reversal thing. So we got the markets showing potential downward pressure, and then, well, stock market, and then bond market showing potential upward pressure. We don't know when that moment's coming, and the Fed kept on mentioning uncertainty. Markets hate uncertainty, and it might be a little bit better for a risk-off environment, a little bit temperamental for risk-on environment, and that's also, I think, why you see some of the price weakness with Bitcoin. So when we look at Bitcoin, we also have this slanted line coming down this way. So we have the bulls, the bears pushing down that line, the bulls pushing up, a little bit more consolidation. We don't know which way we're going to break on this one. We don't know if we're going to stay down below the 200. That's this orange line coming up across your screen. If we do, we're definitely in bearish territory as per the daily chart, even the RSI down in bearish territory as well. If you go to weekly, where are we at? Creeping up on 50, currently at 47.92. Need to get back over top of that if we're going to see it. You can see the battle being fought for this candle right here. That was last week. This week so far, even though the bulls are winning, we still have the bears putting up a good fight for us. So if we get that risk question answered, and what does it look like to get those risk questions answered when it comes to stocks, when it comes to crypto, to get those risk questions answered, what we need to see is we need to see continued subdued inflation. Now, mind you, tariffs are still going to be haunting us for a little while. April 2nd is that date that keeps on getting talked about, and I believe that to be a Wednesday. So expect that first week, March 31st, April 1st, and then April 2nd to be any sorts of wild and crazy. Matter of fact, that whole week could be. So that could be something that the market starts to worry about as that time comes for exactly what that's going to look like when it happens. And maybe that tells us a little bit more about even this last full week in March that's coming up here. So we got to be watchful for that. And then inflation reports, also CPI, PPI, Michigan consumer sentiment is going to have a lot of pressure put on it. It got brought up several times when they were talking with the Fed, and that sentiment can certainly be something that impacts the probability of recession in a big way. So people are going to be looking for that. Will we get a further drop in Michigan consumer sentiment? And I should say for the advanced estimate for that, the early one that you get about midway through the month, usually that's more impactful, more of a catalyst than what you see for the end of the month, because the end of the month usually isn't that different than what we got at the midway point. So guys, check us out over at the Discord. You'll see my technicals over there. You'll see my discussions over there, other experts, technicals and discussions, my trades, their trades. The community wins tab is over there as well. And you can just scroll down through and just read the dozens per day that come up of the different successes that people are having throughout those trading days. You can join the community talking about stocks and crypto and really anything finance over there as well. There's also some just, sit back and relax kind of channels as well that you can find yourself in if that's what you fancy during that time. It's a great place, great people over there. Make sure you use the code word CASH to save 50% off that first month. And then also if you're interested in some coursework, learning about doing technicals yourself, trading yourself, and on options, if you want to learn how to trade options, there's 2 courses. And you can even bundle those if you want to. There's a link down in the description for that for Stockmo Academy. Make sure you sign up using the code word DOCTOR to save you a ton of cash when you do sign up. DOCTOR. That's the coupon code. Like I said, links down in the description. I'd really appreciate it as it helps support the channel. And then, of course, it also helps support yourself in your journey towards financial freedom, or just maybe enjoying some cash, some extra green, some extra alpha, if you will, through the trades that you make. Guys, thanks for watching. I am Dr. Stock, Doctor of Education. Remember, my friends, that learning is earning. We'll see you next video.